Hey guys, we're back to do lesson 7. So we're going to be revisiting percentages today. If you need more practice with percentages, this is a good time to go back on Khan Academy and review those skills because it's really important that you have a good understanding of percentages for these lessons. Okay? All right, so let's get started. We're going to go to quizzes and enter the code 076608. All right, go ahead and enter that code. Pause the video, play the game. When you're done, come back to the video, press play, and we'll go over one of those challenging problems. Okay, so let's go over this question. And it says, given, oops, I love how this is right here and I can't move it. Okay. Given the expression 3x minus 4, which of the following is the constant? Okay, and we've learned that when we have this thing here, 3x, that means 3 times x, 3 multiplied by x, right? We learned the word for that 3 is the coefficient. Sorry, I'm using a new writing thing today. It's not working now. We learned the term for this x here is the variable. Okay, so we know this is the coefficient, this is the variable. And then every time, we don't know what x is, but whatever we multiply it, whatever it is, we're going to multiply it by 3, right? So that quantity could be a different number for every value of x. But no matter what the value of x is, we're always going to then subtract 4. And if something happens again and again, it's always the same. We call it constant, right? So this minus 4 here is the constant. That means that no matter what x is, you always have to subtract 4. So that 3 again is the coefficient. The 3x is the coefficient and the variable. The x is just the variable, and that 4 is the constant there. Okay, so hopefully that helped to learn that term. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So let's go over the exit ticket. A lot of you guys did really well with this. The problem was a plant measured X inches tall last week and 8 inches tall this week. So I'm going to start off by going ahead and drawing a diagram to help me figure out what this question is asking me. So last week, it was X inches tall. I don't know how many inches that is, but it's X, right? And it measured, so it didn't grow, but it measured 8 inches tall this week. So I know that on top of those original X inches, it grew some more. Again, I don't know how many more, but now altogether it's 8 inches in height, okay? So to figure out that missing variable, I'd have to start with the total, which is 8, take away one of the parts. I would take away x, at least I have something to write for that, right? And that would give me that other part there, which I don't know. Now, I normally won't have something with 2 unknowns like this. This would be impossible to solve, right? So I would just use the expression 8 minus x here, and that was this choice here. So this diagram is a great way to explain how we know there. For part 2, they asked you to describe a situation, like write a word problem that this expression might represent. And here they're now talking about this one, x minus 8. So any situation is totally fine. I might have said that a plant is X inches tall. Last week it was 8 inches tall. How many more inches did it grow? Or maybe there were some cookies in a box. I ate 8. How many are left? Right? Those would represent that situation. Okay. So go ahead and jot down anything you want to in your notebook and press pause. When you're ready, press play and we'll move on. Okay, so today we're using equations to find percentages. Our goal is today that we can solve percent problems by writing and solving an equation. Today's lesson's a little tough. If you need to take it slow, pause the video, rewind, that's totally fine. That's kind of a benefit of doing the learning this way, is you can take as much time as you need to digest this information. So we're going to start off with talking about percentages. I want you to try your best to solve each problem mentally, and then I'll go over some strategies you might have used. Bottle A contains 4 ounces of water, which is 25% of the amount of water in bottle B. How much water is there in bottle B? Bottle C contains 150% of the water in bottle B. How much water is there in bottle C? Bottle D contains 12 ounces of water. What percentage of the amount of water in bottle B is this? So go ahead and pause the video. Try and solve these on your own mentally as best you can. And then we'll go over it. All right. So I'm going to draw a diagram to show you what I was visualizing in my mind here. So I know that bottle A is really small, right? It's only 4 ounces of water. Okay, so this is bottle A. All right, which is 25%. To me, I'm thinking, 25% as a fraction. There we go. 25% is equal to 25 out of 100, right? Which is equal to 1/4. And we went over this a lot when we did percent. So I know this is 1/4 of the water in bottle B. So I know that bottle B is going to have 4 groups of 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. This is for bottle B. So I know that bottle B altogether would be 16 ounces. And the abbreviation for ounces is OZ. So 16 ounces there. All right, let's change my color for the next part. Bottle C contains 150% of the water in bottle B. So we know bottle B is 16 ounces, right? So that means bottle C is not only the full amount of bottle B, right? So all 16 ounces, but plus another half, another 50%. And I know half of 16 is 8. 16 plus 8 is 24. So there are 24 ounces in bottle C. Bottle D contains 12 ounces of water. Okay. So to find the percentage, I would need to put the part, which is bottle D, out of the total, which is the amount of water in bottle B. So that would be 12 out of 16. Okay, I would divide both top and bottom by 4 here to simplify that fraction. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 16 divided by 4 is 3. And I remember that 3/4 is equivalent. If I multiplied on the bottom by 25 and on the top by 25, I would get 100 on the bottom and 75 on the top, which means that 3/4 is equal to 75%. There. So 75%. Okay, and this is, again, strategies for solving it mentally. There are other ways to solve these problems. These are probably just the types of work I did mentally to solve more easily without a paper and pencil. Go ahead and jot down anything you want in your notebook. When you're done, press play and we'll move on. Okay, so now we're going to work on representing a percentage problem with an equation. Okay, so think about what you've learned about percent to help you solve these problems. And I'll start it off with you and then give you some time to solve. Okay, and you're not going to share your response with a partner, but work and solve as many of these as you can. So I'll help you check part A, and then I'm going to want you to go through and do 1, A, B, and C. This is not multiple choice, right? You just do each part. 2, 3, A, and B. Okay, so let's go over part A together. Is 60% of 400 equal to 87? So to figure out a percent of a number, I multiply the percent as either a decimal or a fraction by the number. Okay, so if I did it as a fraction, I would do 60 over 100 times 400. And I need to figure out, is that going to be equal to 87? This way is pretty easy to do once you know cross-cancellation, right? I can take out the 100, and then if I divide 400 by 100, I would be left with 4. And then 60 times 4, well, I know right away it's not going to be 87. But let's say, what is it? 6 times 4 is 24, so 60 times 4 is 240 over 1. So no, it's not. All right. So you can use that process to solve some of these other problems here. Solve as much as you can on your own. When you're done, press play and we'll go over it. All right. Number 2 is 60% of 200 equal to 87. Let's try it out. 60 over 100 times 200. Cross cancel, be 2, be 1. 60 times 2 is 6 times 2 is 12. So 60 times 2 is 120 over 1. Is it equal to 87? No. All right. Is 60% of 120 equal to 87? All right. Well, I'm going to solve 60 over 100 times 120. Now I can take out 100 from this one. I can't take out a full 100 because I can't divide evenly. I would be left with a decimal there. Like I could do that, but I just don't want to do that. I'm going to divide top and bottom by 10. And I'll be left with 10 and 12. For 60 times 12, I'm thinking, 6 times 12 is me 72. So 60 times 12 would be 720 over 10. And I can divide them by 10 on top and bottom. And I'm left with 72. And I know that's not equal to 87 there. Okay, so let's move on. 60% of x is equal to 87. So they're saying whatever this value x is, when I do that, it would be equal. So we have a bunch of options that it can't be, right? But now we're going to figure out what it could be. So write an equation that expresses the relationship between 60% x and 87. So we just did a bunch of these, right? So I'm going to start off with 60 over 100 times x is equal to 87. To solve, I take that total, divide by the part I know, and to find the variable, right? So I'm going to have 87 divided by, oops, I already flipped it. 60 over 100, right? And now I'm going to be able to keep, change, flip. I'm actually going to go over here so I have more space to solve. So 87, keep the first number the same, change the division to multiplication, and flip that to be 100 over 60. 87 times 100 is going to be divide by 60, because this is 87 over 1. I already know I can plot a 10. 870 divided by 6. 6 goes into 8. 1. 6 times 8 is, or 6 times 1 is 6. Subtract, I'll get 2. Bring down the 7. 6 goes into 27. 4 times, because 6 times 4 is 24. I subtract, I'll get 3. Drop down that 0, and 6 goes into 35 times. So I'm left with x is equal to 145. There. All right, so then we would write an equation to find the value of each variable and solve the equation. Don't have a last piece down here. Okay, so I would go with, oh, I should have written this as 60 out of 100 times x, like that, with the coefficient, right? Okay, let's do that down here. 60 out of 100 times c is equal to 43.2, right? And then I would divide there. I would divide 43.2 by 60 over 100. And for that one, I got c is equal to 72. I'm going to go straight through it so I don't waste my space here. 38% of e, so it'd be 38 over 100 times e is equal to 190. I would divide 190 by 38 over 100, and I got e is equal to 500. All right. So go ahead and jot down anything that you need to. And again, this could have all been done with decimals too, but dividing a decimal by a decimal is still a little bit tough for some of us. So sometimes the fraction's easier. For the decimal, you just would have written it as 0.38 e is equal to 190, right? Or 38 hundredths e is equal to 190. We're pretty comfortable moving between those. So if that's easier for you, that's totally fine. All right, let's move on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and match some. We looked at when we were going over percents, this like puppies grow up activity, but we're going to come back to it now with like an algebra perspective. Okay, so go ahead and work on these two problems. And I want you to try and write an equation for both, okay, and solve for the adult weight of puppy A and puppy B. Okay, if you're ready to get working, go ahead and get started. If you're not, I'll read the questions and then you can get started. Number 1, puppy A weighs 8 pounds, which is 25% of its adult weight. What will be the adult weight of puppy A? Number 2, puppy B weighs 8 pounds, which is about 75% of its adult weight. What will be the adult weight of puppy B? 3, if you haven't already, write an equation for each situation. Then show how you could find the adult weight of each puppy by solving the equation. Okay, so hopefully you had time to solve, or go ahead and pause, solve as much as you can. When you're done, press play and we'll go over it. Okay, so puppy weighs 8 pounds, which is 25% of its adult weight. I'm going to call its adult weight A, especially since we're talking about puppy A, right? So what they're saying is 25 out of 100, 25% of that adult weight, so I'm going to multiply, is equal to 8 pounds. To solve, I'm going to take the total, divide by the part that I know, and that'll give me the solution to the variable. So I have 8 divided by 25 over 100. Now I'm going to keep change flip. 8 times 100 over 25. I can't really cross cancel there. Put it over 1. 8 times 100 is 800. 1 times 25 is 25. I know that 25 can go into 100 4 times. So if I know that 25 goes into 100 4 times, I know that in 800 it would be like 8 times 4, which is 32. So I know this will divide to 32. There. 32. So the adult weight of puppy A is 32 pounds. All right. So let's move on to puppy B. Puppy B weighs 8 pounds too, but that's 75% of its adult weight. So puppy B is going to end up being way smaller than puppy A. So I'm going to use a B for puppy B. Okay, so his adult weight, his equation B, 75 out of 100 times the part we don't know, the adult weight, right, is equal to 8 pounds. Oops, equal to 8. So just like before, I'm going to take that total, divide by 75 over 100. Now I'm going to keep change flip. Oops, times 100 over 75. I can't cross cancel. I could reduce this if I wanted to, actually, to make it easier. So I have 8 times 100. If I divided both top and bottom by 25, I'd be left with 4/3, right? Just to simplify, 8 times 4 is 32 divided by 3. I could divide this out, but I know I'm not going to get an even number, so we'll leave it like this. 32/3 pounds. That's fine. That's not really the skill we're working on this lesson. Okay. So good job. Hopefully you guys got those equations. And again, let me go ahead and circle those equations for you. Right here for number 2 and right here for part 1. Right? And you could have written it as a decimal too. That's totally fine. I just think it's a little bit easier to deal with as a fraction. Okay. So go ahead and write any of this down. When you're done, press play and we'll move on. All right. So we used equations to help us solve them. We also have previously worked with doing like tape diagrams and other strategies. Either way, we still really do the same operations to help us solve. It's just another way to show what we're doing, right? Yeah, and we can use equations for any type of problem. That's something that's really great about moving from the tape diagram to the equation. It's very flexible. As long as you know you have that structure, you can plug in whatever pieces of information you know and solve for whatever pieces you don't know. Describe a situation where you know what percent of a number is of another, but you don't know that second number. Explain to a partner how you'd find that second number. So like maybe if you're thinking about that. So let's say you're thinking of like, okay, I know that 25 is, let's make this really easy for ourselves, right? 25% of x. Okay, but I don't know what x is. I can still use that same equation, right? Except for I know the percent, right? I don't know the total. I'm looking for that part. So 25%, 25 over 100 times x is equal to 25. Here I would divide, and we probably already know what this is, right? But I want to show you guys how we'd solve. I would divide 25 by 25 over 100. Keep change flip, 25 times 100 over 25. Oh my gosh, they cross cancel, and I'm left with 100, right? So you can definitely use this strategy for that type of problem. Okay, so hopefully after today's lesson, you're able to solve percent problems by writing and solving an equation. So we're going to go ahead into that cool down the exit ticket. Go ahead and solve this problem on a sheet of notebook paper, and then take a picture of it on the slides and upload. Okay, so today's problem. Noah raised $54 to support the animal shelter, which is 60% of his fundraising goal. We don't know the fundraising goal. Okay, maybe you're going to call that X. Well, I don't know. Number 1, write an equation to represent the situation. So that's where you're going to put your equation, your number sentence, right? Number 2, what is Noah's fundraising goal? So now you're going to solve for that variable. Show or explain how you found it. So show me that work. What did you do? Okay. So go ahead and write this down on a sheet of notebook paper, solve. When you're done, you can upload it to your exit ticket. This will be on your Google Classroom page. Go ahead and press that plus button for a new slide and go ahead and type your name, right? And then add that picture from your camera. Okay, I'll leave this problem up so you can solve. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you at office hours later. Okay, bye.